Good morning, ladies. Happy Wednesday. I hope this message finds you well. It is Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. It's been a busy morning. I feel good though because I got to get my walk in. I did a workout ahead of time because I couldn't get to Bible study beforehand, but it's all good because the Lord knows my heart and my intent. So we're going to hop on it because I have a busy day ahead. I also have to drop off my mom to the airport. She's heading to New York to go help my aunt pack. She finally got her house sold. It was on the market for about 45 days. So she's moving out so that way she can eventually move down here to Florida, which would be awesome. However, yeah, a lot going on with work, school, and all that. But we are going to go over 1 Kings chapters 3, 4, and 5 today. And verse 1 goes like this. Now Solomon made a treaty with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married Pharaoh's daughter. Then he brought her to the city of David until he had finished building his own house, and the house of the Lord and the wall all around Jerusalem. Meanwhile, the people sacrificed at the high places because there was no house built for the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David, except that he sacrificed and burned incense at the high places. Now the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" Verse 6, and Solomon said, "You have shown great mercy to your servant David my father, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father David. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in, and your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?" Verse 10, the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. Then God said to him, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for something understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." Verse 15, then Solomon awoke, and it indeed had been a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offering up burnt offerings, offered peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Verse 16, now 2 women who were harlots came to the king and stood before him. And one woman said, "O my lord, this woman and I dwell in the same house, and I gave birth while she was in the house. Then it happened, the 3rd day after I had given birth, that this woman also gave birth. And we were together. No one was with us in the house, except the 2 of us in the house. And this woman's son died in the night, because she lay on him. So she arose in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while your maidservant slept, and laid him in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to nurse my son, there he was dead. But when I examined him in the morning, indeed, he was not my son whom I had born." Then the other woman said, "No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son." And the first woman said, "No, but the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son." Thus they spoke before the king. And the king said, "The one says, 'This is my son who lives, and your son is the dead one.' And the other says, 'No, but your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one.' Then the king said, 'Bring me a sword.' So they brought a sword before the king. Verse 25, and the king said, divide the living child in two and give half to one and half to the other. Then the woman whose son was living spoke to the king, for she yearned with compassion for her son, and said, O my lord, give her the living child, and by no means kill him. But the other said, let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him. So the king answered and said, give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is his mother. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had rendered, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. We're going to be talking about Solomon's administration. Chapter 4, verse 1. So King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were his officials. Azariah, the son of Zadok, the priest, Elihoreph and Ahai, the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, the recorder, Benai, the son of Jehoiada, over the army, Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, Azariah, the son of Nathan, over the officers, Zabud, the son of Nathan, a priest and the king's friend, Hishar, over the household, and Adoniram, the son of Abda, over the labor force. And Solomon had 12 governors over all Israel who provided food for the king and his household. Each one made provision for 1 month of the year. These are their names: Ben-Hur in the mountains of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Makaz, Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hasid. In Arubath, to him belonged Soka and all the land of Hepher. Verse 11, Ben-Nadab, in all the regions of Dor, he had Tapeth, the daughter of Solomon, as wife. Bana, the son of Ahilud, in Tanakh, Megiddo, and all the Beth Sheen, which is beside Zeratin, below Jezreel, from Beth Sheen to Abel Mahola, as far as the other side of Jokneam. Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead, to him belong the towns of Jair, the son of Manasseh in Gilead. To him also belonged the region of Argob in Bashan, 60 large cities with walls and bronze gate bars. Ahinadab, the son of Edu, in Mahanaim. Verse 15, Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He also took Basemath, the daughter of the Solomon, as wife. Bana, the son of Hushai, in Asher and Aloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Parah, in Issachar. Shimei, the son of Ilah, in Benjamin. Geber, the son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, in the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. He was the only governor who was in the land. Verse 20, Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and rejoicing. So Solomon reigned over all the kings from the river to the land of Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Now Solomon's provision for 1 day was 30 cores of fine flour, 60 cores of meal, 10 fatted oxen, 20 oxen from the pastures, and 100 sheep, besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fatted fowl. For he had dominion over all the region on this side of the river, from Tipsha even to Gaza, namely over all the kings on his side of the river, and he had peace on every side around him. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, each man under his vine and his fig tree, from Dan as far as Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. Verse 26, Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. And these governors, each man in his month, provided food for King Solomon and for all who came to King Solomon's table. There was no lack in their supply. They also brought barley and straw to the proper place for the horses and steeds, each man according to his charge. And God gave Solomon wisdom and exceedingly great understanding and largeness of the heart like the sand on the seashore. That Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the men of the east and all of the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all the men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, Chalcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all the surrounding nations. Verse 32, he spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. Also he spoke of trees, from the cedar tree of Lebanon, even to the hyssop that springs out of the wall. He spoke also of animals, of birds, of creeping things, and of fish. And men of all nations, from all the kings of the earth, who had heard of his wisdom, came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. We are in chapter 5. We're going to be talking about Solomon prepares to build the temple. Verse 1. Now Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon because he heard that they had anointed him king in place of his father, for Hiram had always loved David. Then Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, verse 3, you know how my father David could not build a house for the name of the Lord, his God, because of the wars which were fought against him on every side, until the Lord put his foes and under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side. There is neither adversary nor evil occurrence. And behold, I propose to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spoke to my father David, saying, your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, he shall build the house for my name. Now therefore command that they cut down cedars for me from Lebanon, and my servants will be with your servants, and I will pay you wages for your servants according to whatever you say. For you know there is none among us who has skill to cut timber like the Sidonians. Verse 7, so it was, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly and said, blessed be the Lord this day, for he has given David a wise son over this great people. Then Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, in verse 9, I have considered the message which you sent me, and I will do all you desire concerning the cedar and cypress logs. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon to the sea. I will float them in rafts by sea to the place you indicate to me, and I will have them broken apart there. Then you can take them away, and you shall fulfill my desire by giving food for my household. Verse 10, then Hiram gave Solomon cedar and cypress logs according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, and 20 cores of pressed oil. Thus Solomon gave to Hiram year by year. So the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he had promised him, and there was a peace between Hiram and Solomon, and two of them made a treaty together. Then King Solomon raised up a labor force out of all Israel, and the labor force was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month in shifts. They were 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the labor force. Solomon had 70,000 who carried burdens, and 80,000 who quarried stones in the mountain. Besides 3,300 from the chiefs of the Solomon's deputies, who supervised the people who labored in the work. Verse 17, and the king commanded them to quarry large stones, costly stones, and hewn stones to lay the foundation of the temple. So Solomon's builders, Hiram's builders, and the Gebalites quarried them, and they prepared timber and stones to build the temple. That is all for today's Bible study, ladies. As we can see, the Lord almost had Solomon, from what I'm seeing and reading, set up like a little government, some structure, some order, as long as the king was following God's word. If you notice, if you follow that, the Lord provides it all in unison, and government and tribes, how they had it all work together cohesively. Clearly, we're lacking that in today's society. So, food for thought for today. Hopefully, the word spoke to you. Let's get it done. Hopefully, you have an awesome day. If you need prayer, send me a message. Love hearing from you guys, and talk to y'all tomorrow. Stay blessed.